That time, early AI nearly caused a global catastrophe. It was the dead of night. The red lights flashed continuously, intermittently illuminating the operator's tense face. The walls of the control room echoed with metallic beeps from the terminals. It was a familiar sound, and yet tonight there was something different. The silence that crept between the beeps seemed heavier, as if it were holding the entire world's breath. Everything seemed suspended, frozen in a foreboding moment. Time slowed, space seemed to close in on itself. The air was thick, saturated with electricity and tension. Every breath felt like a gamble. An alert. Then another. And another. 5 American missiles in flight toward the Soviet Union. Or so the computer said. No one spoke. Eyes were fixed on the screen. Hands trembled slightly, while protocol demanded an immediate response. Every movement was watched anxiously. Every second that passed was a step closer to the abyss. The heart of the entire nation seemed to be beating inside that room, waiting. Every beep from the system was a blow to the chest, a constant reminder of the irreversibility of the choice. If you want to discover real stories that seem to come out of a movie, subscribe to the channel. There are many that you have never been told. Ricardo, the officer on duty, knew that one button was all it took. Just one button. And the world would be reduced to ashes. The command was clear. There was no margin for error. And yet, something didn't add up. The data was clean, perfect. Too perfect. There were no radio signals. No visual confirmation from satellites. Just an algorithm that screamed, attack. Ricardo knew the perfection of the machine, but that evening he perceived a crack in the order of the numbers. A subtle, but crucial detail. Something in his instinct screamed to stop. It was then that he understood. The system's artificial intelligence had interpreted a solar reflection as a missile attack. One mistake. Just one. But it would have been enough to trigger the end of the world. That system, built to protect, had become the most dangerous link in the chain. The machine had no doubts, no hesitations. But man did. And perhaps it was precisely that hesitation that saved humanity. Because the machine reasons, but does not reflect. It calculates, but does not feel. It knows no fear. It knows no pity. He had seconds to decide. Trust the machine or trust his instincts? His feelings, the eerie silence outside the base. Time seemed to dilate, every second an eternity. The cold sweat on his back. The accelerated heartbeat. The finger hovering over the switch. Everything was ready for destruction, but he hesitated. In that moment, Ricardo was not just a soldier. He was the guardian of a fragile balance, the only barrier between peace and apocalypse. A single soul against an entire world that could disappear. An imperfect man in a system that believed itself infallible. What would you have done? Leave a comment as you continue watching. His heart was beating wildly, but his hand remained firm. Ricardo ignored the protocol. He trusted his humanity. And he decided not to react. A decision against the rules, against the program, against the logic of the machines. But that was the choice that saved everything. No one would ever know of the pressure, the risk, the responsibility he had faced alone. The air was thick as lead, yet his choice was lucid. It was human. It was courageous. Endless minutes passed. No explosions. No missiles. Only silence. And then, confirmation. No attack. No war. It had been just a reflection of the sun on the high clouds. A misinterpretation. But if the machine had decided on its own, if Ricardo had had no doubts, today we would not be here to tell the tale. The world would have been ashes, and the flowers would no longer have anyone to cultivate them. The cities would have become empty tombs of stories never born. The voices would have been silenced forever, the dreams interrupted. It had been a false alarm. A miscalculation. But that miscalculation, elaborated by a machine programmed to protect, could have destroyed everything. The paradox, the weapon created for global security, ready to wipe out the human race for a wrong light. A distorted piece of information, an automatic reading, and the end would have been certain. All that was needed was for that man to have been different. Colder. Less human. Less present to himself. An automaton among automatons. Humanity would have consigned its end to a sequence of code. If you also think that AI is not only the future, but also a danger, share this video and get ready for the next incredible stories. From that night onwards, the man who saved the world received no honors. He did not appear in schoolbooks. No ceremony. No monument. And yet, the world continued to turn. Children continued to laugh. Lovers continued to embrace. The skies remained blue, and life, unaware, went on. No one knew of the threat, no one understood how close the abyss had been. Perhaps it did not matter then. But it does today. Because today, artificial intelligence is back. More powerful. More pervasive. And the question remains, will we still be able to listen to our instincts? Because a man, just once, decided to disobey the machine. To trust his own heart. And history forgot him. But today, here, we remember him. Because great choices do not always make noise. Sometimes, the savior of the world sits in silence, in a room lit by red lights, and simply, does not press the button. That missed gesture is worth more than 1,000 actions. It is there, in the choice not to do, that sometimes entire civilizations are saved. And perhaps it is there, in that silence full of responsibility, that the true strength of humanity is hidden.